fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
The constitutional point of view was critical for Jefferson's support of the Bill of Rights.
As we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens, I can hear you!
Is time running out?
It's Saturday. Welcome to the Hayden Collins radio program. I am your host, Hayden Collins, part of the Intelligence Syndicate. Let's sit back and talk about something intelligent today. Trends! Like looking at this. Last week, visiting, attending meetings as usual, and this time I happen to be in the downtown San Francisco area. And boy, I tell you what, some amazing things I discovered there. A 2-bedroom apartment. You talking about some out-of-control stuff here. A 2-bedroom apartment is $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't even want to get into the backgrounds of this. Even the tax base. Now, I'm talking to a guy who's got a family, and he's sharing the apartment with another family so both of them can have a place to live near where they work. It's like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, no, I'm not kidding you. It's $6,000. Holy Toledo. Just absolutely incredible. And then, of course, I'm staying at a hotel on Market Street near 4th, which is, of course, I can on a clear day I can see the Golden Gate Bridge a few blocks away. It's that close. I'm right there on Market Street. It's just all over the place. It's downtown everywhere. It is Mel's Diner, one of the original Mel's Diners, like a block away from where I'm at. It's got the picture of American graffiti on it, so you have an idea where I'm at downtown there. And I'm staying there, and the hotel is $400 a night. There was some oh my God moments. I was pretty angry and upset and looking at the cost, and dear God. So I want to review a couple of things from my experience just so everybody has kind of an idea of what's going on. About 1 o'clock in the morning, my first night there. Now, I understand there's a 3-hour time difference, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning here. And I usually get up pretty early anyway, but not that early. There is a ruckus out on the street. But the ruckus is not what you think it is. It's all of these guys in the middle of the night. I guess it's night shift or whatever they're supposed to do. They're out there with brooms and scrubbers and hoses, and they're cleaning off their block. So all these homeless people down there on the street, they get up and move. They got to move off the block because if I can draw a mental picture for you, they're working like they start at one end of the block and they scrub all the way to the other end. I'm talking all the way up to the doors and the sidewalks, and all of the trash from the street from that day is cleaned off. And of course the next day all the trash is back. I mean, it's just amazing how much trash they generate around there. So I got to thinking about this. Where do the homeless go? So my second night, I'm going, all right, I'll get up early and watch what happens here. Well, all these homeless people, they get up, and when they see these cleaners show up, they get up and move. And I'm going, okay, what are they moving to, right? Well, I guess they go, there was a park a couple of blocks down. So they go to the park, and when the cleaners are done, they come back. And it's the same homeless people in the same areas. It's like, wait, what? I don't even know the philosophy of this. I don't even know the strategy of this. It was just amazing to watch. It's a culture. But all of these guys, they're all paid. They're paid individuals that are out there cleaning. They have equipment. They have shifts. They have insurance. And you wonder why the taxes are so high down there in San Francisco and everything. Maybe it's because every night they're paying 20 guys on each street to clean the streets. There's a lot of streets there. Oh my gosh. But a majority of the stories they're telling you about, yeah, it's kind of nasty on the streets, and yeah, it's nasty here and nasty there, and you know, there's a lot of that. But since I don't know what each one of you have heard as stories, I can't really justify your experiences or what you've listened to, but there's a lot of that. Yeah, and there's a lot of rude stuff. I mean, not like New York rude, just rude as in, I guess, gaudy is the phrase I'd use. All right, so the other meeting that was nice to attend, and I kind of walked into it blindsided, if you will. I was invited and I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and I made it. But this was trends, and it was social media trends. And the individuals holding this are a couple Silicon Valley individuals up there in San Francisco. They're putting together information, and they're, of course, trying to sell social media. They want to sell their services, but I'm not in there as a buyer or anything, and I was actually in there as a guest. I was to evaluate one of the guy's presentations, actually one of my cadets from a long time ago, and he knew I was in the area, so he wanted me to drop in and evaluate. So I dropped in and evaluate, but I learned a lot from sitting in there in the meeting. So let me relate to you another group of observations that have taken place that, because of the economy. Now, I remember news broadcasts in 2008 and 2009, 2010 about, what was it, Sweet 16. How many hours are spent on Sweet 16 because people were online, you know, selecting their teams. And they used to have news reports about how much time in the office is wasted on Facebook or things like that. And they would use hours and hours and hours, you know. And people were just wasting time either because they didn't have anything to do or there wasn't anything productive to do, whatever. Of course, the unemployment rate was a little out of control. And they were presenting this, and they were talking about the changes in how advanced social media is, how the trending is, and how much it was used then and how much it's used now. And everything is cycling down. It's almost as if the maturity level of the individuals using social media has exceeded the usefulness of social media. And hopefully I've said that correctly. Trying to best repeat how they did it. So picture this. Let's say there were 100 people using Facebook 10 years ago, you know, in the United States. And this is just inside the United States. They're not selling overseas. They're selling inside the United States. There were 100 people using, you know, let's use Facebook. 100 people using Facebook in the United States 10 years ago. Well, now that's down to 60 people. And you go, well, wait a second. What do you mean that's down to 60 people? Okay, well, Twitter made a comeback in the past 10 years. So a lot of people are using Twitter. Face chat sucked away a bunch of customers. What is it? Timble or whatever it is. Tumblr. That sucked away a bunch of customers, whatever the case may be. And Facebook kicks people off, so they go to other networks too. Because if you don't agree with what anything they want to do, they throw you off and you can't play their game. So they became politicized. And when social media became politicized, the people who get pissed off, they leave. You know, I mean, you got to think about this. This has gone a long way from where me and the kids are sharing pictures of our baseball game and thinking it's really cool, or I'm showing some golf photographs of some of the, well, I think the PGA has never seen the type of hits that I do on a golf course, so obviously it would never make the news unless it's in bloopers or something. But I would show, you know, pictures like that, or we'd show grandkid pictures from overseas since I can't see the grandkids. We'd share pictures there, and we have a private page for it. You know, we don't have a public page per se. Well, I have a public page for the radio show and the Intelligence Syndicate, and the kids run that. The interns run that. You know, so the private page with the kids and stuff, you know, we look back and forth at photographs and things. And in your feed, depending on what kind of friends you have in your feed, Facebook's trend is during political season, they're trying to sell political ads, and they have customers, so they're guaranteeing that you're going to see their ads because they control your feed. Well, a lot of people are getting rid of their feeds and walking away from it because they're not interested in the ads. So they've grown out of Facebook. So they're downloading a lot of their photographs from Facebook. They're saving all their stuff from Facebook, printing it out. And that was what the guy was telling. He says a lot of these people are no longer using digital media to save important pictures. I mean, other pictures they're just letting go away. But the nostalgia of those pictures are kicking in, and so there's businesses developing to print those pictures. I was like, well, you got to be kidding me. No, apparently not. There's businesses developing to print those pictures, and then you pull off your account. And I'm like, wow, 4 people changing that in a 10-year period. That's amazing. It's not like Facebook's market is shrinking. Now, Facebook's market is not shrinking. He said to make this very clear. He goes, no, their market's not shrinking because they have worldwide customers. But the deal is the customers that would buy something, they're no longer part of the program. I said, wow, man, that's got to be tough marketing. That's got to be a tough scenario. So they brought up, they used Twitter, for example, and how Twitter makes money. And they showed how, by the way, I love this about the Facebook thing, how Facebook makes money on selling ads, and they promise that so many people will see your ads and everything like that, or so many reactions. But who controls the data to show how many reactions there are? And they were casting aspersions on Facebook. So, for example, I want to buy this ad and I want to make sure 10,000 people see it. Well, how do you know if 10,000 people see your ad or not? Well, you don't. Facebook tells you whether or not you spent your money well. Facebook tells you whether or not 10,000 people seen it or not. And Facebook tells you if you did good or not. Single source information, single source check and balance, and single source money. So there's no way of telling if you ever get your money's worth, honestly. And there's no way of telling whether or not you even got your money out there or your ad out there. So this is why the whole political aspersion thing got thrown onto it. They're just throwing things out there going, all right, what the heck is this? Okay. Wait, I got to do a Leo Getz off of Lethal Weapon here. Also remember this. It's a single source, sole source, and the rest of them are as well. They're no different from anybody else. There's not like there's an auditing group, but here's a business idea for you guys. It's not like there's an auditing group for Facebook. Let's say that somebody develops a business, I get 10% of this, that audits Facebook on the ads they sell, the money they return, not as part of a business investment, but a part of an investment to make sure that their ads are even getting out. Because the big thing they were selling on stage, the huge thing they were selling on stage was trust. And he says there is such a mistrust in the social media now that, and I'll make the number up, I don't remember the number, the 40%, the 40% of people that have walked away just don't trust social media anymore. Now, they also went into a psychological span here. And the psychological span of it was they were showing how they can create revenue and create exposure to your ads by positively reinforcing people who click on the mouse. So their recommendations for positive ads and positive feeds went around like they create an algorithm that you only see things that are positive to you. It doesn't matter if a friend puts up something bad or not. The algorithm sees it and only puts up things positive for you. So you keep clicking with a mouse and you keep reading more and you keep seeing more. And as long as you keep clicking with a mouse and keep seeing more, then you feel better about yourself. It's a positive reinforcement. And so they get to expose more ads for you if they do that. So the question comes, is that a controlling or manipulating the public? And what is the fine line between doing that? Now, there was a lot of questions that came out of the audience on that because they were looking at, well, a long time ago they passed laws that you can't really manipulate people. What was it? Subliminal messages and this, that, and the other. And they wanted to know how far away Facebook was from developing subliminal messages, not with pictures, but with words. Which was a very, very interesting topic that obviously nobody knew the answer to. But it is very close. How close is it that Facebook manipulates the human need to feel positive by manipulating their feed to only see positive things to generate ad revenue for ad exposure so they can sell more ads. And is that a type of subliminal message that they're using, the psychology of advertising, of course, that was obviously outlawed a long time ago from putting pictures on there? Now some of you, okay, I have to describe this. A long time ago on TV, before it was outlawed, they would use subliminal messages. And the way this would work is, here's your commercial for, I make something up, what was huge back then? Beer commercials. They used to drink beer commercials. I mean, hey, here's a beer commercial. Even Johnny Carson drank beer on stage. Yeah, this is Budweiser, and Budweiser sponsors this ad. And he pops open a beer on stage and drinks it. It's no big deal. It's only been a big deal, here recently. They don't do that anymore. They outlawed it. But the subliminal message while he's drinking beer, while he's doing this, was, let's say he said it was ice cold and refreshing. So while he's doing that, let's say there's 100 frames in the first 10 seconds of that advertisement. 3 of those 100 frames would show an iceberg. So you would feel cool by looking at that commercial. And then the next 10 frames would show somebody being really refreshed by a beer, that feeling after they drank the beer. So even though you're looking at Johnny Carson, you don't see the other frames that are in there, but those frames are being shot into your mind through a subliminal message going cool and refreshing, the whole commercial. And it's a 30-second commercial. And that's what you would get. So they had to outlaw that because it obviously had bad ramifications across the board. You can actually look that up and look at the history of it. Spies actually used that during the Cold War too. It's quite an interesting scenario if you read about it. But the message here is, are they doing the same thing with feeds? Are they doing the same thing with Facebook that they were doing with those commercials? Kind of an interesting layout. Don't know how it's going to work out, but it does raise a question that is going to look at the trend of what's put on there and what in place, and it may become a benign network. And this is one of the things he was talking about. They said, here's our fear as marketers, and this is what we have to avoid, and you have to have an integrity in marketing, and this was kind of their closeout thing. We can't corrupt our own media that we're making money off of by corrupting our own media. And it was an interesting comment. But it was along the lines of, guys, if we cross over this line and we go too far over this line, the government's going to get involved, and it's going to be black and white TV again. They're going to have ratings for Facebook. They'll have ratings like they do for movies. And if you want the government to get involved and over-nerd the crap out of this and make it complicated, continue on the path we're on. Otherwise, we have to self-control here, and we have to, self-regulate. Otherwise, we're not going to make this kind of money anymore. We're not going to be able to do it. But again, the best business idea out of the whole operation, out of the whole meeting, was if they developed auditing firms to audit Facebook, to audit Twitter, to blah, 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 and say, okay, we're an auditing group. We're hired because the trust is gone in your private organization because people are buying ads and they don't know if their ads are getting out there. That's going to create a whole new environment of work. It's going to create a whole new environment of auditing. And I can see a trend after that auditing going different directions, different places. Banking industry, advertising industries, things of that nature where they make claims on exposure, especially, Huffington Post or something like that makes a claim, we're reaching millions of people every day. And then all of a sudden somebody does that audit, since we can do it, and determine whether or not they're reaching millions of people a day, and discover they're reaching thousands of people every day. Then all of a sudden their ads are going to drop. And you won't have this, I call it a CNN moment. CNN's, selling all these ads. Oh, CNN News, this, that, and of course, nobody trusts them anymore. They've lost the public trust. Of course, once you lose the public trust, it's really hard to get back. They're not selling a whole lot of ads unless it's some drug or some car. When the only ads you have are drugs and cars, I guess that's good because those are solid ads and it's solid money. But when those are your only customers and you eventually tick them off, you're in trouble. Anyway, just some comparisons, some business ideas, some trends that we're looking forward to, some auditing trends. All right, we get back. We're going to do the best of for the twins for Oops, I Arted. Yeah, it's a good one. Don't worry about it. It's a good one. And when we're done with that, of course, the show rotates on. Now, keep in mind, we don't do shows during holidays. I have to bring this up because somebody said they didn't hear our show on 4th of July. I got a couple of emails on that. They expected some kind of, 4th of July, Hayden, Patriot Weekend. No. Didn't even sell that. Didn't even advertise that. The reason we don't do shows during the holiday is the show is run by interns. They go spend time with their families. They go spend time with their girlfriends, their boyfriends. They go have fun. Okay, I'm not going to take their fun weekends away from them. Sorry. All right, we're back from the break. Oops, I Arted, and the twins are at it again. You guys have a great weekend. Be about it.